Okay, today we're covering the basics on ordering. Today we'll be covering the following topics. We'll have a brief look at some configurations to do with the ordering system and how they work. We'll also be looking at different ways of entering your products to order. There's different ways. There's entry by product, entry by supplier, entry via PDE, and you can even pull the products. So that's a new feature, and I'll show you that today as well. We'll be looking at making sure your supplier details are correct, as well as looking at a couple of product examples. We'll also be looking at automatic creation, and you can do that via history or by min-max levels, and I'll show you quickly how to do that as well. Then we'll be looking at order maintenance, looking at how to maintain all of your orders, then your order report, how that works, and some troubleshooting. So for an overview on the configurations, we'll have a look at a few examples. One is a rounding thing, so you can round to a whole number or not round at all, and that does affect what is actually entered into the product entry screen when you're talking about the prices that it takes from the product file as well. On the e-document image that you print, there is a configuration that you can print the barcode instead of the brand should you choose to do so. There's also minimum and multiple quantities that you can set. So you can either set those to a sell unit, which is the default, or the buy unit. Okay, so there are quite a few configurations that only ACR can change as well, which include things like order sequence, user group that can change the costs, whether the cost appears on the order at all, as well as if the barcode prints instead of the brand. And bear in mind that's only for specific e-document templates. There are many options, so please contact us at a later date should you need any more information. So firstly, when it comes to the ordering system, it does work closely in conjunction with the product file and the supplier files. So all three need to be working in order for it to run smoothly. Product records need to have the supplier that you want to order it from linked to the record before you can order it from them. Supplier records need to have the ordering information specified on the record to make ordering from that supplier easier and quicker. Today's webinar will mostly assume that this information is already correct. We'll be looking at a few things here and there in both these areas, but we won't be focusing on these areas today. We'll only be looking at how to order products and the basics on how. The first thing I'll show you is checking that your information is correct. So as I mentioned, the product and the supplier records need to be correct. So if we then have a look at supplier maintenance, let's actually do a search for that. Okay, as you can see, that's showing at the top there. Okay, so to make sure the supplier information is correct, let's look at our example. We've got all the data on there for the supplier. Looking at order details, this is basically the default settings of what you would set up for when you send an order to this supplier. You can set them up so that you can order one of or all of, or a selection of all weeks of the month, as you can see by order weeks 1 to 4. If you order, say for instance, on a Monday every week, then you can select weeks 1, 2, 3 and 4 and the order day there being Monday. If you order a second day, you can also put that in there as well. You've got a minimum order amount, so if you have to order a minimum of, let's say, $300 each time, then you can put that in there as well. Then you've got your lead period. That's basically just a notation so you know what kind of lead period you're looking for, you're looking at. Okay, so that's pretty much the basics on the supplier one. There is B2B as well, so if you consider this, if you send an order, See this bottom line here that's highlighted? Each time you go to print an order, you can automatically email it to that email address as specified. We can also put a fax number in there if you choose to do so. Most people use email though. Okay. As I said, we won't be covering overseas orders, so we don't need to look at that. The rest of the information here is pretty much basic information in terms of the supplier, their accounts, account balances, etc. The next thing we'll look at is your product file. Okay. So we've got our basic product file set up there. We've got a supplier tab as well. Now in here is where you link the supplier that's previously been set up to the product itself. So obviously for this product, we can order it from this supplier, which is a primary one, or this supplier here, which is a secondary one. All suppliers need to be linked, however. Now we've got different information in here, so we've got what you'd normally order the product as. So in this instance, it's ordered as an outer, and other elements that come in here. So if you have a supplier discount or surcharge for the product, then you'd enter that in there, etc. So this is just assuming that all this information is in there and correct. We can also, there is a way to actually duplicate products in the system. So if we bring up a product like we have here, we click on the options and then we click duplicate product. So the first thing it asks us is for the new product ID, and we'll put in that, and we'll just change the description, sort key, etc., etc. And it will basically save that product identical to the previous one, except it won't retain these. Now what these are the minimum and maximum levels for the product. Now these are used when you're automatically ordering through the system. So let's say for instance our minimum is 5 and our maximum is 20. It would use those figures to estimate, based on what the stock on hand is at the time, how much to order. We'll save the changes. It's just quite as simple as that. Got the supplier tab, which we've covered, and we know all the rest of the information here. For any more information, by all means contact us. Okay, so the first thing I might do is just show you the manual ways of entering products to order. So if we quit out of there, let's just get rid of the search, and let's open up our stock control area, and then domestic ordering. As you can see, we've got different options here. Order entry by product, which is where you enter product by product regardless of what supplier. It'll obviously choose the primary supplier by default. We've also got order entry by supplier, which is where you basically enter in the supplier that you want to order from, followed by the products. We've got order entry from PDE, which is you have a unit which will scan products and keep them in a file, and that can then be uploaded into the system for ordering that way. The other side to that is you can actually create an order file on your computer, and you can actually save that in such a format that it will then be uploadable. So whether you use a unit to scan the product or whether you create it on your computer from scratch, either can be used in that option. You've also got order creation from min and max, which is, as I explained before, your minimum maximum levels. It will take those min-max levels, it will look at your stock on hand levels, and it will estimate according to how you qualify, and I'll show you that later. Basically, as you qualify it, it'll estimate what you need to order. Next one down there is your order creation from history. Obviously, based on the history of your ordering for that supplier, it will take the information based on what you qualify, which I'll show you later, and it will estimate your ordering levels. So I'll just quickly show you order entry by product. This one here, you can put in a delivery after and a delivery before date if should you choose to do so, however they're not vital. As you can see, it's the deliver after is defaulting to the data system date at the time. So we can put in a reference, and it's always recommended to put in a reference because it makes it a lot easier to find your orders. So what we'll do is we'll do a search for something that we want to enter in as an order. page down goes down the products. Let's just say we want to add this. We'll order 10 of those. And I haven't put a cost in the product file, so that's why it's not coming up with a cost there. So we'll just add one there. Nice and simple. And let's put in a second one. Let's order 20 of those and $5 each. Okay. So as you can see, we've got your proofs. Total sell units is 30, according to what's up here. Total order units is 30. Now that's the split between inners and outers, order as units, you sell as units. Okay. The other thing you can do in here is, let's say, for instance, you've got a product that you sell as inners and you might be wanting to order an outer. What you can do is you can type in outer 2. The O is for your outer and your 2 is for the quantity of outers you want to order. If we tab through, obviously that tells us that the product is set up as an order as outer anyway, because it's just put the 2 in there. There is shortcuts, as I showed you, for doing that. So to do that, we then complete that order. It's given the order number, but it hasn't printed it. What we do by default is we create the order behind the scenes, but it's created as unprinted. So you will then need to go in and print the order in order for it to go off to your supplier. Okay. So I'll just quickly show you the order. As you can see, it's an unprinted status, and we need to print the selected order in order to send it off. Show you a copy quickly. And there's a copy of an order. Okay. Okay, so I'll just quickly show you order entry by supplier. Put in the supplier ID, all your information here. Don't forget your reference. And put your products in. Okay, so what I'm going to show you here is there's actually a way you can park orders. If on this screen we click quit, the screen will disappear, but that order is still technically up on screen. So if you then go into order entry by product, or in another session, it will ask you to complete or void the order on hold. So what I'll do is I'll actually leave this up on screen, because the best way of showing this is by doing it through your order creation screens. So I'll just leave that there. Your order entry, just quickly, this is where you would actually go in to upload that file that you've previously created in order to load that in screen. Now on our online help manuals, we actually have the specs on how to actually format that file in order for it to be uploaded correctly. But I won't be covering that today because that's in our online manuals. So we go to order creation. So I'll quickly show you order creation from min-max. Now there's a lot of information on this screen, as you can see. If we were to qualify any of this, so say for instance, if we were to qualify only by week 1, it would only then be looking at supplier files that had order week 1 selected. That is what that qualifier would do. If we selected week 2, it would look at order week 1 and 2 being selected on the supplier file. We can also qualify, if we untick those, qualify by supplier number only, or maybe a range of suppliers. You can do whatever you like pretty much in there. Now also you've got a drop down here. You can actually select a secondary supplier to order from this way if you'd like, or even internal. Now I won't be covering internal, that's again a specialized area. Down this section here we've got the product qualifiers. So you can qualify whichever way you like. You might want to, only order from a particular product group, for instance, from a particular supplier. So you can do that way. You can order from a particular stock area, should you choose to do so. And the percent of max level. So obviously it will be looking at your maximum levels. And if, say for instance, you would put 200 in here, 200% means double your maximum level. Okay, we've got other qualifiers in here to do with specials. So you can include all your products from your specials. You can include specified products should you choose to do so. And you can put a reference in there as well. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll actually click generate without qualifying anything, and that should generate everything that we want to in the system that it estimates we should order according to your minimum maximum levels. As we can see down the bottom here, I don't know if you can see it, it's doing a count of how many products it's actually adding to the order, and in total it's 442 products. Now we'll just wait for that to come up on screen. Okay, so what this is telling you is it's loading the order entry by product form that you would use manually. Click on OK. And as you can see, we've got all the products in there. Now, if you have a look in the supplier, that's getting the primary supplier by default, as you can see by the P at the beginning. Should you want to change that, you can actually find, well, if I can find product with the secondary supplier in it, this is a test system. Okay, let's go right to the top. Okay, so we can change it to a secondary supplier if we wanted to do that. The other thing about this ordering screen is rather than having to scroll through, up, down, blah, blah, blah through it, you can actually do what's called a fast review. If we click on the options and go fast review, what's it telling me? It's telling me it's deactive. So we'll try that again. In fast review, it's active. Okay. As we can see, it's highlighted the first order quantity. So if I wanted to change that quantity, if I wanted to order more or less, I would just simply type over that. I only want to order 200 instead of the 500 odd. And I press tab and it goes down to the next line. So on and so forth. You can keep going down and change your order quantities as you go. This is only, the fast review is only going to be looking at your order quantities. It's not going to be looking at your supplier ones. So you can change your supplier ones as you go along. Unfortunately, if you change your supplier at that point, it's going to default down to the bottom, where you'd then need to scroll back up the top and go back into fast review mode, because I've just disabled fast review mode. Okay. As we can see, we've got our order quantities. If I clicked on complete, per supplier, it would create a different order. So you'll find that the next screen that comes up will be a list of your different order numbers that have been created by this method. Okay, as you can see, we've got a whole big list. So we just click on OK. Okay, order creation from history works in much the same way. We've got a supplier qualifiers in our product qualifiers, but under that you've got slightly different ways of qualifying the screen. Now this is a required field, the number of days stock, and by default it defaults to 3 months. You can choose to include more. So let's say over a 5-month period you want to get the average of it and you want to get the number of days stock for those 5 months. So let's say we want to order 300 days stock. Okay, we can put that in there. We can put in a bias here, so whether we want to increase or decrease the bias, whether we want to include negative stock on hand as part of that, and or include 0 order lines. So including 0 order lines means any product that it estimates you don't need to order will still be loading up based on the history. So based on the products from the history, if you still want anything to come up on screen that may not have, getting tongue-tied, that it thinks it doesn't need to order, it would still come up. Okay, so again, we've got a deliver after and delivery instructions down here. And again, use specials qualifiers. So if you only wanted to order for a particular special, you can, for instance, put in your special ID, and it will then only create the order based on the products in that special. But we want to include all products in this. Let's click generate. Okay, we'll count down the bottom, 60, 80, 100, blah, 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 still increasing. As you can see, this can take a while. 762. That's then calling order entry by product. And there is our order. Okay, so we'll just quit out of that. Okay, so we bring up the order entry by product, and it's bringing up the same stuff. So we've parked it there. So then we'll just void that, and it will not create the orders for those. Okay, there is another way that you can actually pull products into an order, and that's through prior transactional history that you have. So let's say, for instance, we open up your order entry by product, and we just tab down to this line. In order to pull products, we type in this command, semicolon pull, and press enter. Now this will bring up a pull product selection screen. When down here, you can actually choose where you want to get the source of the information from. So let's say, for instance, you wanted to create an order for a previous invoice that had been done. So we select invoice, and we don't know what it was. We might even know the customer. So let's select the customer, specified customer, type in the customer number, and press enter. That will default to clicking on that button. So we can have a look through all of these invoices here. Say, for instance, this one here, if we wanted to pull this, we weren't sure what's on it, so let's just display it. This will tell us what products are actually on that invoice. Do we want to bring it into the order? Click on OK to go out of that. If we do, then we click on Select Source. As you can see, that brings the products and the quantities from that invoice into the order. Nice and simple. Complete that, and we're done. So that's nice basic ways of going about doing your ordering. And it works in, obviously, when you print your order and you tick the little eDocs output defaults, it'll email off to an email address or even the fax number that you've got behind the scenes in there. One thing to note also, when you're putting in products in the order, you can see down the bottom you've got your stats. So this is free. Here is the number of free stock you have, the number on order, the number on special order, and so on and so forth. You can also see down here how many inners per outer, if it's filled in, how many outers per shipper, and shippers per layer. Also over on the right hand side, you've got your stats in terms of your order history in there as well. So it's very useful to have in there for you to review information as you're doing your orders. So we might just void that order and quit out. Okay, different ways of printing your orders. You can go through order maintenance, which gives you better controls in terms of what you're ordering. There is another method. It's called order printing, which is right here. Now, I'll take you through the different options here because with a couple of these, it can print a lot of orders at once. So the print specified option will ask you for each order in turn. So you have to enter in the order number for each order you want to print. And obviously they'll need to be an unprinted status. You've got print all. Please be careful with this because that will quite literally print all of your unprinted orders. All of them. We've got reprint, which is the same as print specified except it's reprinting something. So something that's got a printed status already, we can go in here and we can reprint a specified order. And then we've got print qualified. If we click on print here, So we'll bring up another screen where you can then qualify. What orders do you want to print? Do you want to print everything from a particular supplier, or everything where the deliver after date is a certain date or date range? You can put that in here. So it is a much faster way of printing orders, but as I said, it's slightly less control over trying to do it in order maintenance. Which leads us to order maintenance. So this screen here gives you a good overview of everything. As you can see, you can specify your dates. You can select all dates if you wanted to. It will give you a warning, say it will slow down your searching, which makes sense because it will potentially bring up a lot more. And you get this, if you select all dates, you get these to choose from. So specified, supplier, order, reference, product or stock area. If you unselected order all dates, it will then allow you to choose all orders or all special orders. So if we selected all orders, there's a there's a status drop-down list underneath the find drop-down list, which gives you the status that you wanted to search for. So if you wanted to search for any unprinted orders, you select unprinted there. So we're looking for all unprinted orders for the month of June. We click find, and that will bring up all your orders at the top there. Now you can print all of those in one hit by clicking on the print current view option. It'll ask you if you want to. You can click yes or no. I'm going to click no to that. So as you can see, you've got different options to choose from. You can display an order should you want to do so, to see what's on it, that kind of thing, the order totals. You do also have the option of sorting by these column headings as well. So if you wanted to sort by total, it would show lowest to highest. If we clicked it again, it would show highest to lowest. So you can sort by any of these columns, whether it be ascending or descending order. Okay, you do have a reverse order option here. That's basically just reversing the order in which they show on your screen. So the sorting would obviously work better for you. Okay, so we've also got an option here called order report. If we click on that, that will show us the information that we can qualify by to get a report. Let's say, for instance, we wanted to see all orders, any status from supplier, the demo supplier that we used. So we qualify by that supplier number, and up here you've got an order type. So you've got an option between two different types of orders, standard or weekly dissection. So I'll choose standard first and give you an example. A page break for each supplier order is if you're qualifying a report with more than one supplier. It will then put all the orders for one supplier on one page, have a page break, and then the next supplier follows on from that, and so on and so forth. So we'll just generate the report to screen. This is a standard format order. I'll minimize that. As you can see, the one supplier only, and it's giving you the details on what products have been ordered with that supplier. If I was to then run another report with basically the same information except choosing weekly dissection, I'll show you an example of that. It's a very different format, and depending on what you're after, you just need to choose which works best. So as you can see, you've got your average weeks 1 to 7 over there, and then all this different information. So the stock on hand at the point in which you ordered it, if there's a special involved and what date, how many were on order at the time, and so on and so forth. For any information, by all means contact us and we can talk you through anything. So let's close that. Lastly, there is actually options in Report Generator that you can make reports up with, which shows you different information. So it might, for instance, you might want to know which products have what primary supplier on them in report format. We can create a report with that information. Or maybe what products have what minimum maximum levels set for them, so you can do a review and maybe change things here and there. For more information, by all means contact us and we can talk you through the different specifics that you might have. Okay, that's about it. Thanks for joining us and we look forward to seeing you at the next webinar.